votes 3 times. Ma'am.
What is your opinion about Sidney Powell and what happened with the Dominion machines that supposedly helped them overturn our results? You haven't heard anything from her.
I really don't know what's. Oh, somebody is getting texts from her. You'll have to ask her about Ms. Powell. I don't like the Dominion machines. Think about everything we have that has software can be hacked. And we've learned they were connected to the internet, even though they lied and said they weren't. I think we need to get rid of those machines altogether. We don't need those. There are ways to count our votes without them, and I think we should get rid of them.
A story was shared with me this week about Mark Zuckerberg spending over $400 million on a grassroots deal to go out and influence voters, not in an illegal way, but in a way that was grassroots. Do you know the story that I'm speaking of?
I do. And Katie Hobbs and Adrian Fontius conspired with this dark money outside groups to illegally change our voting rules. The legislature writes laws when it comes to voting, not Adrian Fontius and Katie Hobbs. And that's why I think if it's not a crime, it should be a crime. I said that she should be behind bars, and somebody's got to go behind bars for what happened to our election. The voter rolls are a mess. She's supposed to be cleaning those up. We've got people who have moved years ago, and we're seeing it right now with this current election. I'm seeing people posting online, I got 5 ballots at my house. I don't even know who these people are. So they haven't cleaned up the voter rolls. She should be working day and night doing that right now. They want a bunch of ballots floating around out there. It's really easy to cheat when you have mail-in ballots everywhere. And so I think that there was a dereliction of duty on her part. And we should not be taking money from outside groups, as dark money groups, and having it come in and influence our election. It should be made illegal. And I think there was actually a piece of legislation last time that would have prevented that kind of money from coming in. It was one of the bills, I believe, I hope I'm right because the media will attack me. I believe it was one of the bills that the governor vetoed when he vetoed 22 bills. And I'm trying to find out right now if it ever got passed. So I don't have that information, but you can look into it. Good. Well, I know there was some legislation. But you know what's great about what happened? I always try to look for the silver lining. How many people in this room are so much more aware of what's happening in our government, in our elections, in our medical world, in our kids' schools in the last 2 years? Is anybody not? So there's nobody living under a rock here. It has woken us up. We've realized what's at stake. Everything's at stake. Our country is at stake. The election of 22 is the most important election. I know every politician says that. This one is the most important election. And I'm not willing to let this country go. I'm not willing to let Arizona go. I know I can't save the world, but we can all start with our own family, our own community, our own state, and we bite off a little instead of a big chunk, and we can save our state. And I believe Arizona is a red state. Not for a second is this a blue or purple state. And we're going to prove that in 22. I'm sorry, were you trying to stop me before? We have one more question.
We'll check here, please.
Oh, okay.
So if H.R. 1 passes federally, where the federal government determines what our election laws are, what will you as a governor do to counteract that? And can we counteract that?
That's a good question. I don't think it's going to pass. I know, if it does, well, we could do hypotheticals. We can do hypotheticals all day, but I hate to say this, I never thought I would appreciate a Democrat like Kirsten Sinema so much. While I don't agree with most of what she says, at least she's holding the line here. So I don't want to go into a bunch of hypotheticals. I hope and pray that day doesn't come. They're trying.
What would you do as a governor if it did happen? What every governor is going to have to. I mean, federal law will determine our elections, and how are we going to counteract that?
Well, like I said, there's enough that we can worry about right now that is real and happening that hasn't happened yet. And so I really don't want to go into a hypothetical what I would do. I hope that doesn't pass, and I don't think it will pass. I really don't think that will pass. They have to have the votes for it, and they have it thus far. One more question right there. And then.
Thank you so much for all of your hard work and for choosing to do this. We really do appreciate it. My question for you is, you talked about the fake news. And I think the fake news is everywhere, obviously, we all know it, but it's really working. It's swaying a lot of people to believe all this stuff about COVID and all of this stuff. I mean, people are scared and they're believing it because of our fake news. So you said you're going to take on the media. How in the world are you going to do that, and how can we do it? Because I personally, and I'm sure a lot of other people, are just fed up with the lies and the coercion and the, you know, they're taking our freedom of speech away by, you know, taking all of
The
this.
censorship.
Yes, the censorship.
It's horrible. I don't think as many people are watching as you would think. I think I heard CNN this week hadn't had more than 1 million viewers for any of their shows. Let me tell you a little story about local news. We reached in this market, the Phoenix Prescott market, which is the one that I worked in. So 85% of the state is reached by that market, which is why I've got great name ID after 27 years, which is very important when you're running for office, and I'm blessed by that. But we reached more than 6 million people in Arizona. So how many people would you think the average, 5 o'clock #1 newscast would reach? Because somebody handed me ratings a couple of months ago. It was just a Tuesday, and the #1 rated 5 p.m. newscast, when the potential is to reach 6 million people. What would you think the #1 5 o'clock news did? How? 150,000? Is that what you said? How about 6,500?
Yep.
Yeah. So no one's watching. Now, they get clicks, so never click on these stories. You click on them, they're making money. But people aren't watching, and our newspaper, the Arizona Repugnant, as I call it, they have just dismal subscription rates. So people aren't watching, and I think and I'm going to make it, this is my last comment, it is our job right now to reach out to those friends of ours who are Democrat or who are confused about what's happening in the world because they're buying into that, and gently try to bring them over. And bring them over to the side that we're on, which is the side for freedom. And we have to bring them along with us. We can't just go, it's us versus you, you're never going to get it, you guys are, you living under a rock, and they are in some ways, but we need to help gently bring them along, because we need everybody to realize what's at stake here. And the more people we bring across every single day with Joe Biden and what's happening in this world, they're peeling off from that side. So if we can speed that along, that's going to help us in the end save this country. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it so much.